Hey friends, we're going to get just right into this topic. It's a hot one. Okay, the title, as you've read, of this video is Juicy Black Women's Potential Husband Wish List is Crazy. Now, I'm not saying that anybody has been necessarily clinically determined to be mentally unsound in that sense. What this topic is saying is that many of the juicy black women have a potential husband wish list, what they're looking for in a husband. Their criteria is crazy in the sense that it's extreme. It's very difficult for us black men to achieve it. It's not that it's impossible, but I mean, they're looking for a paragon of virtue almost in a man. So you're wondering who are the juicy black women? Let me give you that definition later in this video. But what I want to first do is I want to get into what that wish list, that husband wish list, what they're looking for in a husband, what they want in a husband, are the elements of that wish list. And I'd like to just go through and see how I measure up to their wish list. Not that I'm looking for someone to marry me. I'm not on the dating market, but just for the sake of argument or discussion, let's see how I measure up. So the first thing I want to deal with is what's not on the wish list. There are certain things that typically, traditionally in the past, that we look for a husband to do. Some things that are mentioned or touched on or alluded to in the wedding vows that, in the past, women would look for a man to just provide the essentials of food and shelter, or be at least the primary contributor in the household to making sure that the household had food and shelter, that he provided for them, that he was a protector of them from physical harm. And us in the Christian domain, we look for that man to be, they used to say he was the prophet, priest, and king. So he was a spiritual leader, that he was a husband, and he was also expected to be a father, a good father. I don't mean just a man in the home, but he was to provide direction, instruction to his children, just provide a framework of discipline, that things just didn't get so crazy, that he would keep things in check. But those things in the modern Western civilization, I'm speaking specifically here in America, men that do those basic things well, they're not even getting credit for those, or they're not getting very much credit in many cases, which is sad. But those are not on the wish list I'm talking about. The things that I'm talking about are things that women want that are far and above and additional on top of that. What are those things? Well, the first set of things are what many have called the 3 6s. Those are, this juicy black woman, these juicy black women, they want, again, we'll talk about what defines the juicy black woman in a bit. But the 3 6s, that there are many of them. I'm not going to say every black woman or every black, well, I don't want to define juicy women yet. 3 6s are this type of woman. She wants a man who is making at least 6 figures, at least, and can provide a 6-figure lifestyle. What is 6 figures? Well, we're talking about the digits of his salary, that there's 3 digits in the thousands and 3. Let me just put it the way. She wants a man who makes $100,000 US dollars or more annually, and that he's doing that consistently. And she wants that lifestyle that reflects that he is $100,000 or more, pulling that down in his salary. That's the first 6. So he's $100,000 or more as far as his salary and the lifestyle that he's providing. The second 6, some of you might have thought when I said 666 that I'm talking about the Antichrist. No, that's another video, another Bible lesson. But the second 6 in this 666 I'm talking about is that the man is at least 6 feet tall. Okay, he can be, over 6 feet, but at least 6 feet tall. The third 6 is he's got to have what we call a 6-pack. If you've ever looked at a 6-pack of canned soda, for example, and turn it sideways, it's got kind of a hump, but it's pretty, vertical up and down. Well, what that to me means that if the man has the 6-pack, is that he's got that flat stomach and it's muscular. It's flat, but it's muscular, and he just has a slight bit of a, you can see the muscles kind of bulging, but that stomach is flat. Basically, the man is in tip-top shape, fit as far as his fitness, his weight, and not just that he's got himself in the appropriate, according to the health professionals, range of weight, but that he is muscular, that he's physically fit. And then, in addition to the 666, they're looking for even more beyond that. I'll call it maybe the cherry on top. They're looking for a man who has demonstrated or demonstrates that he's intellectual, okay, his intellect. And then they also want him not to just be, intellectual or high intellect and demonstrating that, but they want him to be known in their circles, or known in society, or known in the community, that he has demonstrated or demonstrates that he's got gravitas, let me say, or he's recognized as far as his contribution or his place in society. Okay? Whether that be, for example, sometimes these famous people in the arts that they are recognized for their artistic ability in the performing arts, and that they've demonstrated that in society, or even athletes that they've demonstrated their superior ability and they're recognized and they got the fame. Okay. And that comes on different levels too. So here's the deal. Let me go through and see how I stack up against the Juicy Black Women's wish list. We're talking about the 3 6s, and then the cherry on the top of the 3 6s stuff, and then we'll come back and have you see some comments about how I rate in each of these 4 categories. Okay, we've got here my custom built 4-level home on over 6 acres with a bass and catfish lake, my private lake. I think we'll check that off under the first 6, the 6-figure lifestyle. So let's go to the next item under the first 6, the 6-figure lifestyle. All right, under the 6-figure lifestyle, the next item I'll offer for your evaluation of whether I meet the criteria or not is my own little mini orchard. I've got, let me see if I can get a better shot. It's just a little small, I'm calling it a mini orchard because I've got probably maybe a total of 20, 25 trees, give or take, various fruit. I've got peaches, pears, apples, and different varieties of peaches and apples and pears. Not all the same variety. And right now you see that they've got the leaves. The blossoms have dropped off. First part of spring, when they're all full of blossoms, it's a beautiful, beautiful sight. And maybe what I'll try to do is see if I can add a still picture into the video presentation here and incorporate that so you can see when they are in full bloom. These trees, they're a pretty sight. And then the other pretty sight is when they're full of fruit in the summertime. So that's just kind of giving you where you can see some of the trees. I've spread them out when I planted them. So our own little mini orchard. So let me go on to the next. I think there's one more item we're going to try to offer for your evaluation under whether we're meeting the mark on the six-figure lifestyle. All right, folks, this is the third item I'm going to submit under the six-figure lifestyle. That's my BMW. That's one of the classics cars that six-figure lifestyle folks like to have. This is the 740Li. The L is for, I believe, I'm told or read, it's for the longer or extended wheelbase. So it's one of the larger size BMW 740s series, and it's got a few years on it, but I like it. It's a nice vehicle. It's comfortable, and I enjoy it. Gets me not only from place to A to B, but it also gives me some comfort. Alrighty. Alrighty, that spot at the top of my head on the brick over there, it is 6 feet 1 inches, so I'm at least 6 feet 1 inch. So we can say definitely, as far as I think it's the second 6 being over 6 feet, or at least 6 feet, I think that we can say I passed on that category or that criteria. All right, the third 6, or what I'll call the third 6, is the 6-pack. And let me just say, I don't have the 6-pack abs. And physical fitness, I'm not at the tip-top shape of physical fitness. Probably a year and a half, a couple years ago, give or take, during the COVID, and that's no excuse. I had topped out at the maximum weight I believe that maybe I had ever been. I was just a bit over 250 pounds, and even though I'm 6 feet 1 inch, got the big bones and the genetics for, you know, carrying more weight, blah, 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 whatever excuse or rationalization. Really, I was too heavy, and I felt like I was dying. So I started working on the weight and dropped maybe about 5% of my body weight, and I was using a machine to take my blood pressure. Unfortunately, that machine, it was going crazy and broke, and I didn't realize it, and it was giving me some crazy readings, like over 200, 200 and something over something. And so it freaked me out. I made an appointment with the doctor. Probably should have already done that before even getting to, crossing that 250 pounds. No excuses. I should have gotten into the doctor earlier, but I did make an appointment with the doctor, got in, and I had dropped some weight, about 5%, and he took, first his medical assistant took my blood pressure, and she says, "Oh no, it's fine, it's normal." And I'm like, "No, that can't be," because I was getting such crazy readings, such high readings on the machine I had at home. And I had the kind that they recommend to have for a home machine. So the doctor came in, and after the medical assistant checked it twice, he came in and he checked it once or twice, and it was like, "No, you're in the fine range." However, looking at my blood work and everything, even though I had dropped about 5% of my body weight, he says, want me to work on losing another 5% of my body weight. Didn't need any medicines prescribed that he felt at that point, except something topical that I use for rashes and skin irritation, because I got very sensitive skin, but no internal medicines or pills or anything like that. But he still wanted me to drop my weight 5%. So, and then come back in 6 months and redo the blood work and so forth. So I intensified, if that's even possible. I was already pretty intensely working out, watching my nutrition, but I really continued that and tried some different things. I'm up to an average of 2.5 to 3 hours a day that I work out, because I'm trying to get this weight down and watch my nutrition and juicing and so forth and so on. And so I dropped. I went into the doctor on Monday of last week to see how we were doing and to check the blood work, redid my blood work, and I was 2 pounds away from dropping, the third time dropping another 5% of my body weight. And he was, no great celebration or anything like that, but he said, okay, at least one of the numbers was looking even better on the blood analysis, the testing. And you know what that man told me? He said, drop another 5%. No, fanfare, no great congratulations on what I'd done. I mean, he was just kind of mild-mannered. "Oh, okay, matter-of-factly, yeah, we want you to drop another 5%. And that's, I don't need any medication or anything, but he felt that I'm too heavy, and I didn't argue with him. And so I'm working on dropping another 5% and be going back to him in the fall and see how we're doing. He may tell me to drop another 5%. But in any case, I'm up to about 2.5 to 3 hours a day, pretty much 7 days a week that I'm working out. I'll do an hour on this elliptical that I got used. It's a commercial elliptical I got for several $100s. And then I've got a couple water cooler size water jugs with caps on them that are about 27 pounds each, total of 52 pounds total for the pair of them, or 54, I guess it'd be 54, 55 pounds together, something like that. And I'll do a set of 20, just standing and lifting those up to my chest and back down to my side. And then I got this ab roller from someone that gave it to me, and I've been using this so much. It's actually broken and everything. I'm still using it. I just ordered another ab roller, and it is upstairs. So, long story short, no, I'm not making the cut as far as having the six-pack abs and the fitness that goes along with it. So, fail for me in this category. Okay, we've dealt with the 3 sixes, the 6-figure income and lifestyle, the 6 feet height or above, and the 6-pack. Now, the next thing on the Juicy Woman's criteria is, now this, I'm not saying this is every woman, but a considerable amount of women, they want the man to have demonstrated his intellectualness, his intellect, if you'll allow me to say that. So let me see, I'm trying to measure up to that stat. I'm going to offer 2 or 3 things, and to see if I measure up with the intellect part of it. I did my bachelor's at the University of California, Berkeley, a technical degree, computer science degree, and I actually graduated in the same class as the co-founder and the technical brains behind the start of Apple. That's a guy named, he's known as the Woz, but his name is really Steve Wozniak. Wasn't personal friends of mine or anything, but we walked across the stage at the same time for the same degree at the same university, so we were in the same class. I did go on later, after working some in IT, to get my master's in communication networks and network design for like fiber optic networks and so forth. I published a book some years back, and that book is still available. Pleased to get it. That's the holiness.com dating survival guide. And at that time I was doing radio interviews from across the nation, from Hawaii to San Francisco, California, New York State, the #1 show at that time in Toronto, Canada. So they would have me come on their show and give my advice and consultation. So the intellectual or intellect part, let's offer those up for that. And then for my contribution or place in society, I am a philanthropic type person, or philanthropist. It's something that is near and dear to my heart. And I've done, made contributions and actually physically participated in doing those type of works domestically, internationally. Just to give you a sampling, I've sponsored more than one child in Africa, from childhood all the way through graduation, sponsoring them for their education and also some of their health care as well. One of the children was in, I believe, Ghana, on the west coast of Africa. She's now a young lady. She was a girl who I sponsored through completion of her education. And then there was a boy, he's now a young man, in Tanzania, who I sponsored. I also contributed to orphanages in Jamaica and also in the former Soviet Union, Eastern Europe, in Moldova. And let's see, one of the more recent things, I actually financed the fish farming aquaponics project for Christian ministry in what's considered the poorest, if not one of the poorest areas in the Western Hemisphere, down in the Caribbean, in the DR. And as I understand, that project is doing very well, and they're raising thousands of pounds of fish that's really helping the people in that community, thousands of pounds of tilapia fish. And so also I've contributed to the women's organization that helps women have options when there is a pregnancy and the father isn't there. But one of the things on my mind is I want to be careful, and I probably do more of this to continue to help men as well, because what I want to do is not replace men, but men give support where men are coming in, and we're not pulling the men out and saying there has to be no man around for you to get support. So definitely in these years now, my mind is on, if I'm going to help an organization, I want to keep an eye to them not saying that there has to be absence of a man for people to get help, because that seems to promote people sort of pushing men to the curb. All right, so who is this juicy black woman? Let me set this up. I listen to different counselors and so forth, and seeing what's going on in the relationship world and looking at what people are saying, what they feel. I talk with people one-on-one, I counsel people, I listen to other counselors and I listen to various shows and their interactions with people. And I've spent, I don't know how many hours and days either dealing one-on-one with people, counseling people, listening, reading, you name it. And let me just cut to the chase here. I'm watching this video where this nationally known image consultant, relationship counselor type person, I believe his name is Kevin Samuels, he's trying to give some advice to this lady, and he's giving a story of what her relationship challenge is. And basically she's got these reasons why she hasn't been able to find a good man and get married. She's blamed the fact that she was involved in getting her schooling and education done, and where she was in college, there were no men or maybe no good men, and blah, 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 so forth and so on. All during the serious conversation that the gentleman is having with this lady, she's just kind of making light and giggling, and I mean, he's laying down some serious points and trying to help this lady. And I don't know if part of it, maybe she's just so happy to be on media. I mean, he's got hundreds of thousands, I think a million plus people that follow him on social media. But in any case, this lady, she is extremely obese. Or maybe you think extremely is too harsh. She's heavier than she should be. She's 5 feet 5 inches tall, according to what she shared publicly, and she is 250 pounds. With all of the reasons why she can't get access to and find good men, to have a relationship and get married, she never mentions her weight, and when Mr. Samuels tries to bring that to the forefront, that hey, that's a challenge in this competitive dating world, to get this woman's standards is like she wants somebody who's intellectual, who's ambitious, blah blah blah. I guess because she has some college education and degree or degrees, but she's not willing to come to the point of facing that obesity, it's a health problem, and even if it wasn't a health problem, that's a blocker or a challenge to being more competitive, to finding and securing a mate. So as Mr. Samuels is dealing with this woman and trying to get her to recognize that the weight is a major factor, it's an issue, she's making light of it. And here's her take on her evaluation about her weight, what she thinks about it. Not that it's a problem, or that, hey, I know I'm obese and I'm, working with counselors and nutritionists or my doctor, physical coaches. Here's what she says about her weight.
I'm juicy. I already know that.
She's juicy, and she knows it. Mr. Samuels says, hey, juicy basically is not the word he would use. Why is this relevant? I started around the 1980s where I would see more and more, it's not every woman, but just large numbers of them just so focused on themselves in a way that they're not dealing with reality, delusional, and it has become a significant problem. And it's affecting relationships, particularly in the Black community, between men and women. This woman who is obese, she's not a unique situation or case. The stats I've heard, the overwhelming majority of women in the Black community will die alone and not be married. You've heard, no doubt, all of the baby mama situations and all that. But one of the key things, or a significant thing, of women, and I hear women always talk about, oh, there's no good men, there's not enough good men, and they want the 666 man, they want the man who's intellectual, they want the man who's competitive. If you want a man who is competitive and 666 and all of this, and ambitious, there's, well, let me read you some stats. All right, so I'm going to read you some info. Now, this website is called blackdemographics.com. Now, sometimes when we're dealing with weight and stuff like that, people in the Black community will say, well, that's the white man's standards of, how much you should weigh for your height and the amount of obesity and overweightness in the Black. That's the white man, the white man, the white man. Okay, blackdemographics.com is owned, run, operated by Black people. Okay? All right. So what they say, obesity percent by race and sex. I'm going to give you Black people, okay? Black people, obesity. For men, the percentage is 37%. So that means 37% of Black men are obese. For Black women, obesity is at 55%. That's not just overweight. Overweight, I believe the percentage is something like 80% of our black women in this nation, in the U.S., are overweight. That means only 20%. That means only 2 out of 10 every black women, of every black, you know, only 2 of every 10 black women are at the weight they're supposed to be at. It's a health, CDC calls it a health crisis or epidemic, or, you know, let's give you white women. No, you don't want to hear this, or maybe you don't want to hear it, but they are at 38% of them are obese. Latino women, it's approaching the blacks, but not, I mean, few percentage points lower. The Hispanic women are 51%. Asian women, 15% obesity. So why am I doing this? Because all of these black women I hear saying, you know, and even if you're not obese and even if you're not overweight, if you're saying black women, you know, are having trouble finding good men, and number one, the standards are so high, you know, this 666 stuff. I only arguably hit 3 of the 4 that we talked about. The 6-figure income lifestyle, okay, I hit that. 6 feet or over, I hit that. The 6-pack, I didn't hit that. The intellectual and, you know, contributing to society. Okay, let's give that to me. Let's say I hit that. That still means I only hit 3 of the 4. That puts me at 75%. But here's the deal. If 80% of the black women are overweight and they're expecting men to hit 4 to 40s or even 3 to 40s, it's a mismatch. This woman who's educated, her being obese, the education isn't going to overcome that and make the 6'6" men look at her. Even a guy like me who's not hitting all of the 6s. Can I just tell you something honestly? Even before I hit the first couple of the 6s, there were young black women, young Latino women, young Asian women that were throwing out game or play, are interested in me, and not just, I mean, interested in being married. Before I even got into management, when I was fresh out of college, I was working for the city. Before I got a job in my field, and I would have to go out, because I was working in law enforcement as a tech, assisting police officers. And give you an example, I was at this apartment. I think the situator might have been somebody left a baby at somebody's door, abandoned a baby. So I was taking information from one of the witnesses or whatever. She was a young, thin, pretty little Latino or Filipino young lady. And she just very humbly, quietly, I'm trying to, take crime reports and whatever, but she just started talking and said, I'm just looking for someone who's just basically a good provider. And it kind of blew my mind and shocked me, scared me. I had to get out of there. I mean, it's kind of shocked. I mean, she was nice looking, very feminine, modest in appearance, but pretty, and all of this 666. You know, what I'm trying to say is, juicy women, your competition, and you may hate me saying the word competition, but the consumer that many of you are looking to accept your package is the black man. And black men don't even have to be 666, and these pretty young women at my, even in middle age, I'm getting women in their 20s and 30s, and I'm not available. I'm not on the market, and I don't get angry with them, as long as they don't approach me too aggressively. I kind of like, try to nicely let them know I'm not interested, but they're interested in somebody who just will be, solid and a good provider, and they're not even going for the 666. And we have, as I said, these juicy, quote unquote, black women have these high standards. Let's do this. Let me give you some math. The figures I've heard is that across America, across all races, that only 10% of the men are earning 100,000 or more. That's the 6-figure. And I've heard various numbers about men over 6 feet that, it's a small percentage of men who are over 6 feet. Let's say 10%, okay? So if in the black community, many of these women, black women, if not most of them, they want to marry a black man. And let's say if only 10% of the black men in America are making over 100,000, and if only 10% of that 10% are over 6 feet, how many percent is that? That means 1% of the black men are both making 100,000 and are over 6 feet. Now let's say that third 6, which is the 6-pack, let's just say, they're in top shape. What percent of that 1% of black men are in tip-top shape? Let's be generous. Let's say half of the black men running around are in tip-top shape with, 6-pack abs. What that means is that 666, 6 figures, $100,000 or more income, 6 feet or above, 6-pack abs. That means 0.5% of the black men are meeting that criteria. Even before we get to the intellectual stuff and all that, this woman in the video I was watching, she wants an intellectual. That means 0.5% are meeting what many of these juicy women want. Now, some of them say, well, I'm willing to settle for less than that. It's just what I'd like. I'd be happy. Well, wait a minute. What woman want a man coming to you talking about, I'm settling for you? If I had a ring and I'm gonna propose and I'm telling a woman, I really, wanted A, B, C, and D, you don't meet that criteria, but I'll settle for you. It's like, and these, 80% of our women are overweight, 55% of them are obese, and you're telling a man who's, maybe he's 1%, in the 1%, the top of the top, that you want him, but then you get a man who's maybe not in that top percent. Maybe he's making 50,000 and he's a good man, that you are selling for him because you couldn't get the 6. I'm hoping this is making sense. There's something wrong there. If you somehow, and there are exceptions to the rule, get a man who's making 40, 50,000, he's solid, he's a good father and good husband. If you get him and you disrespect him with the attitude that you are settling for him, you should be just, streamers and banners and a regular parade at your house, that he is the man, he's great. Forget that 666 stuff, because I'm telling you, sisters, your competition is not only the 20% of black women who are fit. Your competition is every race, just about. Because I'm telling you, since I was a young man, and especially when I moved into like my mid and late 20s, as I became more successful in my career, and sure enough in my 30s, women, black, white, Latino, Filipino, Southeast Asian, because I work with people from around the globe, men and women. There's women that are throwing some serious game at a brother, and this was way before I hit 6 figures, way before I was, building my custom home, way before I even moved to the suburbs in a tract home. Because when I lived in California, we had a nice tract home, but in this house here we're living in, it's custom built. I acted as my own general contractor, working with the engineers and architects. But anyway, way before that, there were women of all races trying to snatch me up. So, sisters, I'm not saying it's bad to want the top of the top and the top 1% or the top 0.5, 0.0, the top 0.5%. That's even that's even higher than the top 1%, the top 0.5%. But the thing is you're not bringing the package that those folks in that top tier want. You're not bringing the package that folks like me, I'm going to say it, and you may get mad and say I'm arrogant or whatever, you can do that. But the fact is a fact. Even me not hitting all the 6s, my peers who are looking to get married that are equal to me, they're not looking for some juicy person. They're not. Now you may say, because I live within the Christian community and I follow a holiness lifestyle. You may say, well, you just not spiritual. Let me tell you something about the history of your holiness church in America. The preeminent, I'm talking about, who may arguably be the most anointed man of the 20th century, definitely arguably the most influential in propelling the holiness church forward, black or white, in America in the 20th century, was a man named Charles Harrison Mason. And a lot of you are going to know who I'm talking about. when he was in his 70s as a widow, he found himself wanting to get married, and he married someone in her, I believe she's in her 30s. She was in her 30s. And I'm going to try to, if I can't get a clip of a picture of her, I'm looking at it right now, I'll put a link where you can see it. This woman, she good looking. If she was walking around today, this Bishop Charles Harrison Mason in his 70s, and this young, good-looking woman. So, if you want to say, those of you that are in the Grand Old Church or other Pentecostal churches in America, this man was at the roots of the holiness movement in the 20th century, and was the preeminent person propelling that forward under the anointing of God. And so if you're going to put your mouth and say, well, he's unspiritual because he wanted a good-looking woman, and here's the deal: health and fitness is in of itself a thing that really determines you being at your best attractiveness. Because God made us a certain way. He didn't make us to be unhealthy. So there's a natural attraction. You're more attractive. You're at your best attractiveness to the opposite sex when you are fit and healthy. So anything that you're going to do, cosmetics and, put this on or whatever, products, if it's not accentuating your God-given, how you were supposed to look and your healthiness, what I'm getting to is people will be overweight, predominantly women with all of these cosmetics. In the black community, cosmetics is like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I see more women who are overweight and obese, rather than, spending that money on, just some basic workout equipment and nutrition. They'll go and buy these fake fingernails and stick that on. They'll get all these long eyelash things that look like a big old tomato-eating caterpillar. You stick it on, and they'll do the smoky eyes and look like they got charcoal out of the fireplace. Put it on the eyelids, and the black women 5 shades darker than me will bleach their hair with chemicals and be a platinum blonde and do all of this crazy stuff and be overweight and not seriously attacking that. There's this thing now to try to shame the society and shame men and make men think that obesity is as attractive as being fit and healthy. There was this group of women who are extremely obese who went somewhere and got them, I don't go to the Hooters restaurant, but the Hooters restaurant, because I don't believe in, sexual exploitation of women. Hooters is built on attractive women who are, pretty fit looking in tight little shorts and tight t-shirts. Again, I don't go to Hooters because they're immodestly dressed. But these extremely obese women found them some shorts with the color scheme and the t-shirt, and they're huge, and they put this all on, posing and stuff. And people are like, praising them. And you know what? Here's the deal. Ladies, 20% of you that are fit, stop lying to your friends and whatever, and assuaging their, emotions and making them think that, that crazy hair colors and all of the painting the fingernails, all kind of crazy colors and attaching fingernails like bird claws and all of that is making them what God meant them to be. And not dealing with this obesity and the overweight. 80% of the black women are overweight. I guess I'm off topic, but I'm on topic because I'm tired year after year hearing women saying, there ain't no good men. There are, I heard the number something like 50 something percent of men are unmarried. They may not be, the 666, but we need to forget this foolishness that you're settling if you don't get a 666 man. Number one. Number two, okay, you're gonna go after the 666 man, but are you prepared to pay the price of what it takes to get that man? Not just looks, and even if you're healthy and fit, that 0.5% man, he's got a whole array to choose from. Are you in that class to compete at that level? It reminds me, I think there were years ago, I heard a story about a fellow who he really wanted to represent his country in Olympics. I think it was in Sydney. And he really wasn't a good swimmer, but he gonna go represent his country and jump off in that pool and compete against world-class swimmers. I think he got dusted so bad, somebody said he didn't even finish the race. You want to jump in the Olympics and compete at that world-class level. But anyway, I think bottom line is, stop kidding yourself, lady. Just stop all of this cosmetics and billions of dollars and stuff and do maybe about 4 or 5 things. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. First thing is, if your weight, people want to always blame all kind of things, racism and psychological or whatever. Go get professional help, whether it's therapy, mental health, talk to your doctor, your nutritionist. All these excuses is not solving the problem of overweightness and obesity. You need to, every person, if you're alive, you need to exercise. I've seen so many times, even people in wheelchairs exercising what bones they can. Your nutrition. Get with a real nutritionist and learn what you're supposed to be eating in the portion sizes. I know here in America, we just everything, the bigger the better, the more the merrier. We as Christians especially are supposed to have some discipline, and you need to work on that. Work with a nutritionist. Sleep. You need your sleep for your emotions and your personality. You can't be in a relationship with somebody and you're not getting proper sleep because you're going to be cranky all the time. Ain't nobody want to deal with a cranky. I don't care if you lose a weight and you look like a perfect 10. If you're cranky, ain't no man want to deal with a cranky woman. And then, of course, obviously the spiritual side. We're real good on that, going to church. But part of your spiritual should be some alone time meditating on the Word of God and Bible. And because sometimes this weight thing and eating there's a deeper problem there that you're unfulfilled. And get a real grip on the Lord and develop a relationship through daily Bible study, prayer, meditation on the Lord, worship, thanking God. We have so many people who are unthankful, ungrateful. An ungrateful woman is an unhappy woman. I don't even want to use the word happy because sometimes you're not going to be happy. Let me say, an ungrateful woman is a woman who is discontent. Contentment is something that you can have. Peace is something you can have, even as they say, in the midst of sorrow. You can have peace. So get some help, because losing the weight, getting your spiritual, your mental self together, getting physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit, those are going to naturally make you more attractive. Now, I ain't saying you're going to get to 666, because if there's only 0.5% of the men that are hitting all cylinders on the wish list. And we, in Christendom time here, in the New Testament time, or post-New Testament, Jesus has told us his design is for one man and one woman to get married. No more polygamy. So that means all these women, they can't all have a 666 man. So you need to readjust your expectations. But get some help. Don't contact me about your excuses and this and that, and why you can't, work on getting fit, and there are people. Unless you are in a coma, talk to your doctor. There's some kind of exercise that you can be doing. And as far as 80% of black women being overweight, and the overwhelming majority of them can't do anything to improve their situation, or they can't afford it. The 80%, the millions of women, black women, look, I don't believe it. I'm looking at something right now. It says black women in particular spend an estimated 7.5 billion like billion, annually on beauty products. That means every year. Shelling out 80% more on cosmetics and twice as much on skincare as their non-black counterparts. Our women are the worst with health and fitness as far as the weight, which is a killer. Let alone it's going to impact your relationship. Even if you're married, it's going to affect your relationship, this overweight problem. And we've got the worst stats among all races, but we're spending the most, way more than any other race, on beauty products. Talk to your doctor. Get a therapist if you need that too. Here where we are, North Carolina, I think you can get them a good one if you look hard enough, as low as $50 an hour. Exercise. I've got some inexpensive pieces of equipment, but really, you can pay several dollars and get a good jump rope. And check with your doctor again, but you may not be able to jump as much as an Olympic person, but if you start where you can start, you may not even be able to swing the thing all the way over your head, or just start swinging it back and forth underneath you. You got to, if you sit up making excuses and never start, we'll get bigger and bigger. Nutrition, talk to your doctor. They give away stuff. One of the nutrition stores I deal with gave me free a book. I may review that and share that. But the deal is, and sleep. Stop staying up all night. And your spiritual man. So you need to develop a daily devotion. Scripture reading, prayer, meditation on the Lord Jesus Christ, worship, and thankfulness. Not just prayer, giving God your wish list like he's a big Santa Claus, but just a certain amount of just worship and prayer and thankfulness. Because when you are physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit. Physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit. You are just naturally you're at your most attractiveness. I ain't gonna say you're gonna get the 666 man, ladies, but you have a higher probability of getting a man, decent man, to marry. And if you're spiritually and mentally fit, you will be more content with the blessing that you have, rather than looking over and looking for the 666 man. Now, some of you, a few of you, may get the 666 man, but there's only many of those to go around. But if you get one, treat him well. If you get a man who ain't a 666, maybe he's a 555 or a 55, you need to celebrate him regularly, just like he was a 777. All right? Because it's a whole lot of sisters and a whole lot of folks who ain't, none that are contending for what we call the average man. Oh yeah, I know. I can tell you. All right. Listen to what I'm saying and improve your situation. Ignore what I'm saying and the situation will just continue or get worse, and we'll just continue to have people griping about, ain't no good man, ain't no good man. All right. Talk to you next time.